Where did the universe come from? The Bible says in Psalm 19:1, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. It says, day after day they pour forth speech. According to this, God is always speaking to us from the sky and really all of creation. So one question people ask all the time is there a God? And if so, how would you know it? I mean, you can't feel him, you can't taste him, you can't touch him, you can't see him, you can't smell him. So where is the evidence that God exists? To which I and many others would say, look around you, there's evidence everywhere in the entire universe that God exists. For instance, behind me is this palm tree. If this palm tree didn't exist, you wouldn't have to explain it. But since the palm tree exists, there has to be an explanation for how it got there. In this case, I happen to know because I bought the palm tree and installed it myself. I bought the palm tree. Now, when I bought the palm tree, I got it from a nursery. I don't know where they got it, but somewhere that tree was grown. And if you cycle back far enough, you discover that the palm tree was created by a creator. It had to have a creator because it wasn't always in existence. It wasn't always around. Something had to predate it. Well, just imagine for a second the entire universe. In fact, if you can mentally back off and think of the universe as all contained inside of this circle. Everything inside of this circle was created by something else. It's all what philosophers would call contingent. This is the circle of contingency. Everything inside of this circle was created by and is dependent on something else. I'm dependent on air and water and light and food. The tree is dependent on light and water and soil and all those things. Even our sun, which is the thing that gives most of the power to our solar system, is contingent upon the powers behind what fuel it, combustion and all of that sort of stuff. So everything in the universe that we can see, feel, touch, hear, or smell is contingent upon something else. Now, if that's the case, then what is the likelihood that something inside of here created and sustains everything inside of it and always has? It's an impossibility. It had to come from something that was not created and does not require outside sustenance. It had to come from something outside the circle, a eternal, self-sufficient source. And an eternal, self-sufficient source comes very close to a working definition of God. This is the circle of contingency. God is not contingent. He is outside of time. He's always existed. He's the uncreated creator. This is the first answer, or first pointer to how we know that God really exists. Now, another cool thing about it is not only is there a creation that points to a creator, but within the creation, there are things. For instance, I'm holding a Pepsi can. You've probably seen one before. It's quite an interesting thing. It's got these letters P-E-P-S-I on them, which must mean something because we all have a visceral reaction to that. And it's got this red, white, and blue symbol that I think must be like the cosmic resonance frequency for the universe because it's everywhere. Now, I've got this can in my hand, and here's a theory. This can fits perfectly in my hand like it was designed for it. And if I pop the top off of the rascal, it gives this pleasing noise that causes the back of my throat to salivate in anticipation of what's going to come. If I look down in it, there's this caramely liquid that has some fizz to it, and my mouth is watering even thinking about taking a drink. When it goes down my throat, it feels good and satisfies my thirst. Unbeknownst to me, it's actually got some chemicals in it, caffeine and sugar and all, that are going to make me feel better after I drink it, so that after I have one, I'm going to want another one tomorrow or maybe later this afternoon. Everything about this can seems like it was designed with me in mind. So where did it come from? Well, here's the story. Way back in history, well, before it would even be number history, there was this green goo, and out of it flowed some caramelized liquid. And over time, that caramelized liquid, just by chance and time, had aluminum form around it. And then these colors imprinted on the outside in just the right pattern with these words under it. A tab then formed, or you might say evolved, on the top of it by happenstance and chance, and part of it has this little perforated lip so that when I click this little piece down, that piece goes down and the can opens up, and there's again just enough liquid in it to satisfy me and just enough liquid in it to make me want more later on, so that I get to keep going back to the store to get more and more and more of this. Now you can believe that all of this took place by time and happenstance and chance, or you can believe that there was some company, we'll just for grins call it the Pepsi company or PepsiCo, who invented this and created it with me in mind and marketed it so that I would buy it and put sugar and caffeine in it so I would get addicted to it. They did a pretty good job on that, wouldn't you agree? Compare that to this, bunch of bananas. Bunch of bananas, because they were created, had to have a creator as well. And the creator of the banana arguably is more creative than the creator of the Pepsi can. He created something that is like just the right size for my hand as well. In fact, it's a little better for me than the Pepsi can. It's got a non-slip surface on it. I can't drop it. It's even curved so it holds well. If I click it, oh, I got that same preclude in the back of my throat thinking I'm going to get something good out of this. When I peel it, it's even got perforations so it peels nicely and then drapes around my hand in a way that appeals to me. The creator of this food actually even designed it so it would point towards my mouth, and it's pointed in such a way that it's easy to get in my mouth. When I eat this, I don't have strange aftertastes to it. It actually does good things for me. And if I don't eat it, it'll fall back into the ground next to the banana stalk that created it and will add to the creation of the next banana. So it's more self-replicating. It's a better design. It's a better designed thing for me. This was created by a being who must care about beauty, must care about details, must care about me. So from the creation, we can tell that there's a creator, and from the design of the creation, we can tell something about that creator, that he's interested in details, that he's thoughtful, that he's got beauty in mind, that he's careful. He's God. From the creation, we can see that there's a creator, and from the design of creation, we can see that the designer is a loving, good, creative, smart, detail-oriented being. I call him God.